Chasing It Outdoors, right here on the Chasing It Outdoors podcast. This episode is brought to you by Shiver Outdoor and Archery, located in Leesburg, Georgia, 1461 US 19 South, for all of your hunting and fishing needs. All right, welcome to the Chasing It Outdoor podcast, right here on the Chasing It Outdoor Network. I'm your host, and boy, do we have a good one for you today. Today, we've got a very special guest, and one that I have been fortunate to have become friends with several years ago, a true legend in the hunting industry, Mr. Terry Rohm. Terry, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, Robbie. How you been? We miss you up this way.
Dude, I've been good. I'm back home, so this is home for me. This is where I was born and raised. This is where all my family is, and where my daughter lives, and now, of course, my son. So, man, I'm glad to be home. I do miss being up there, and I miss everyone that, is up there. But fortunately for me, this is home, so I'm glad to be back home. But I'm doing really, really well.
Oh, good. I know the shop down there's. I've been following that right along, and it seems like it's growing every day.
Yeah, we have been extremely fortunate and extremely blessed at Shiver Outdoor and Archery. We started very small and slowly have grown year by year by year. And now it's just, you walk in that building now and it's like, holy cow, man,
Yeah.
y'all have really expanded a lot. So we've been extremely fortunate and extremely blessed. Appreciate you following along and kind of keeping up with us. And appreciate you coming to that turkey day that we had a couple of years ago.
No problem. Enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I'm going to kind of run through a few of your accomplishments to kind of set the stage for today's topic, which is talking turkey. Terry is a two-time Grand National Turkey Calling Champion. He is a part of the NWTF Hall of Fame. I didn't know this, but upon doing some of my research, but your dad was a call maker.
Mm-hmm.
You are a very vital part of Turkeys for Tomorrow and the former director for marketing at Tinks.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything that I left out accomplishment-wise that you want to point out?
Other than, been blessed, Robbie, with turkey calling. Turkeys have been a big part of my life and my family's life since the early 70s. I mean, we were up there and actually helped start some of the first NWTF chapters up there. And now that has turned into, a great organization. And now I'm involved. I'm on the board of directors for TFT, which is another smaller .org group that's Ron Jolly over there in Alabama he's seen our turkey populations decline. And he got a group of guys together and trying to figure out what we can do to help, big landowners, small landowners. We're working with a lot of the universities university biologists and different biologists to try to figure out, what is the cause, or is it multiple causes, which a lot of good research going on right now through Turkeys for Tomorrow.
Cool. And that was one thing that I was going to get into in a little bit in some of the questions that I had for you, but I guess we can go ahead and jump straight to that one, being that you've already touched on it. Turkeys for Tomorrow is a program that is specifically designed around trying to repopulate the turkeys in some areas. Am I mistaken when I think that?
Well, when we first started, we got big landowners together. We had some meetings over in Alabama, and we got big landowners that managed their timber. It was limited hunting access. We had people from, of course, some of the government agencies that had, management areas or state game lands, and just trying to figure out people that managed their land. I mean, to really managed it, were losing turkeys, and they couldn't figure out why. And that's what brought a lot of different aspects together. We're not so much we want to sustain turkey populations for my grandkids, their grandkids, and forever. That's the ultimate goal, is to make sure that that natural resource is there for everyone to enjoy. So
Hmm.
A lot of things we're trying to figure out. There's, of course, you see all the stuff on social media. It's coyotes. It's this. It's it's reaping. It's decoys. There's a multiple things in different areas that my personal opinion feel that are hurting turkey populations. And a lot of people don't like to talk about trapping, but trapping is very vital. I think from
Hmm.
from a small landowner's aspect to a big landowner, if you want to do something to help turkeys, I mean, you've probably seen this, Robbie, around your deer feeders and stuff where you might be supplementing, deer feed but how many coons do you see around those feeders at times?
Far more than I would like to.
Exactly, and they're nest raiders. I mean, when that old hen, through the research, the biologists, I think there's a number of days that hen is actually on the ground when she starts incubating. I mean, she'll lay that egg a day, and then she has to incubate for 28 days, and that's another 14 days before those poults can really fly up to a tree. And I think it's like 54 days that she's on the ground
Oh,
from,
wow.
yeah, and it's just from foxes to coyotes to skunks to possums to whatever, coons. I mean, you got 10, 12 coons around a deer feeder, and there's probably turkeys there somewhere, and they start nesting. Them coons, it's not going to take them long to find that nest. So,
No,
and then the other
not at
big
all.
thing is poult habitat. Everybody likes to burn, which is great for turkeys and different quail and all your birds and stuff. But you need to leave some grasses that poults can hide in, because when they're on the ground, they're hawks. I mean, hawks, owls, crows. They need places to hide. So leaving some grasses around those nesting areas is very vital.
Okay. All right. So you went into a lot more, you went into that a little earlier than I was anticipating, but I'm really glad that it happened earlier in the podcast because, retention is somewhat difficult sometimes in some of these podcasts. I would agree. Yes, running deer cameras, and I'm a very much a rookie when it comes to turkey hunting. I've only been doing it now 3 years or so, I think. So I still have a lot to learn. I have learned that it is by far my favorite type of hunting. I mean, y'all can have all the deer you want anymore. I'd rather chase a thunder chicken most days. Now,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I like shooting big bucks, but I'd rather chase a turkey because you actually get to communicate with that animal. Where deer hunting, a lot of times, it's just sitting and waiting. At least here in Southwest Georgia, it's not like hunting Kansas or
yeah,
Illinois or Iowa where you can make a deer call and hopefully they respond. Here, our deer ain't doesn't tend to respond to calling like they do out in the Midwest, but turkeys do, and I think that's why I'm so attracted to it. Uh, but to kind of backtrack a little bit, how did you get into turkey hunting?
Uh, grew up in Pennsylvania on a farm, and the only thing there was to do was work on the farm, play high school sports, and then hunt. That was a big part of our family was hunting. I mean, I got three other brothers, and I mean, squirrel hunting. I grew up squirrel hunting. That's how I got started. We had a Winchester model. I think it was a 42, 410, and a 22. And Dad said, "Take your pick, boys." And my older brother Rob and I, we'd get in a battle who was taking what, but we'd go up on that ridge and we'd hunt all day till we got our limit of squirrels because it was a competition. I mean, you didn't, and we ate them. I mean, that was food for our family. I mean, and that squirrel hunt was a big part of our growing up, you know.
What's your
But
favorite
then,
way to cook them?
oh yeah, I mean, it was, squirrel pot pie and potatoes in it and some dumplings in it. And, it was, man, that was good. But and then as you got older and graduated into, I think we had always had a Pennsylvania had a fall season, but I think the first spring season was like in the '60s, and for the first spring gobbler season, which was very late compared to down in the South here, for spring gobbler hunting. But started calling with those little bird whistles you get at a country fair. I don't know if a lot of
Hmm.
people don't remember those, but if you hit the right thing or did the right thing, you got a little bird whistle, and started that way. And then just started a few local guys there made calls, and Red Smith and Chet Lesh, and started working with them, and then ended up winning. I think I was the youngest guy to ever win the Pennsylvania State Turkey Calling Championship. Of course, back then, a lot of the older hunters didn't want to share information. So here's a young kid, just just whooped them at turkey calling, and it wasn't very well liked at that time, But that sort of kicked it off. And then, of course, I met Ben Lee at the Harrisburg Sports Show, and that really kicked it off. I mean, hunting with Ben and being around Ben and working in the call shop down there, and so that was a big deal. Well, Ben. Back up a little bit. Ben was I met him at the Harrisburg Sports Show, and he had heard me call, and he said, "Hey, boy, come here. I want to hear that yelper." And I had no clue what a yelper was, So I called for him. Well, he ended up, and the type of guy Ben it was, he ended up inviting Rob Keck, myself, another call maker there that made calls for me, Dickie Smith, to go to Alabama and call in the World Turkey Calling Championship. Well, us Yankees never heard of a World Turkey Calling Championship, so away we went, and that first contest, I was leading the thing, and then Keck beat me by 1 point on the call off. So he goes on to be
Wow.
his career with the NWTF, and of course my career ended up going with Tink's direction, and it's been a good ride, brother. I guarantee it's been a good ride. And now
Yes, sir.
of course, I sort of retired from Tinks, and then got involved with Rock Ridge Outdoors, and they wanted me
Hmm.
to start a turkey call line for them. So I started the grind, which the grind is when they first started talking grind, and I think you can relate to this, being 3 years into it now or so. The grind basically means the everyday grind of getting up and going turkey hunting. But it's for some of us, when I was working at Tinks, man, it was getting up. I'd go listen. If I didn't hear nothing, I would change my clothes at the truck and go to work. Get off work,
Hmm.
go to the woods, and it's just repeat, 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 and that's the grind. And we call it a grind, but it's not really a grind. We enjoy it so much, or we wouldn't do it.
Right.
So
Well, and you talk the grind. I know for you, when I ask you to do this, uh, the scheduling was around you going and actually listening for some turkeys. And we're what, January the 29th, and you're already starting to grind to
yeah,
locating birds, kind of doing your homework on those birds so that you can set yourself up and your family, your grandkids for a successful season.
yeah. I've been videoing some turkeys here. Actually started before deer season was over, and my mind just went turkeys for some reason. And I got some pretty nice, pretty nice gobblers on camera right now, and videoed them, and been watching them, and been watching that pecking order establish, and from the hens to the jakes to there's like 6 old gobblers running together right now, but they're about to break up. But my goal is to have them pretty well pinpointed for my grandson Liam. Hopefully, he gets his first turkey this spring.
Oh man, I can't wait. I hope he does.
Yeah,
How many? I don't want to go into like age or whatnot because you are a legend, but I guess you could be a legend at 30. You wouldn't be as much of a legend as you are because you're not 30. How many years have you turkey hunted? Do you know?
I don't know. Probably since I've been 16, Robbie. I mean, and I'm pushing that. I'm pushing that. I'll guarantee you I'm older, but
Yes, sir.
it's
Yes, sir. So
it's
you've got many years of experience doing this, which is one of the reasons why you are a vital part of the TFT program and why the grind actually does exist.
I think I hunted 7 states last year. I mean, I
Holy
started.
smokes.
Yeah, I started, and this is the grind. I mean, I started in 1st of March in South Florida, and then came home for a few days, then went back down to Florida to guide a hunt for TFT. And then I come back to Georgia, took off for Kentucky, left Kentucky, went to Ohio, left Ohio, went to Missouri, come back home, was home a few days, jumped in the truck, took off to Pennsylvania to hunt with my, at that last year, dad was 94. He still's got the bug. I mean, he still loves to hunt,
That is awesome.
but hunted with him a few days in Pennsylvania and then took off for New York. So I ended up getting back home about the last week of May. So it
Wow.
it, it was a haul. I'll guarantee you. I put some road miles on, had a lot of fun, a lot of experience, met a lot of people, and I think that's what it's all about. If it's not fun, why do it? I mean,
Right.
it's just like y'all shooting your bows down there in the leagues, and it's something people enjoy, and that's what turkey hunting's about, man. If you like it, go do it. If you don't like it, go do something else. But uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's turkey hunting. You can learn different dirt, different areas, and like you were saying earlier, you're actually reacting with that critter. You know, you're trying to outthink them. You know,
Yes,
and
sir. You're actually being able to communicate,
mm-hmm,
and that is so cool.
yep.
It's kind of like the elk that you've got in the background there. I think if people they Google search Terry Rohm if they don't know who Terry is, and if they do, they probably know you more from the turkey hunting aspect because that's what you've come to be known for, at least for in the most part that I've you know known you for. But you're a well established hunter, and not just around based around turkeys. I mean, looking behind you, I mean there is some massive whitetails and a
Well, yeah, there's a lot of
huge
years
elk.
there, Robbie. I was fortunate when I worked with Tinks, and back then there was like two TV shows. There wasn't podcasts. There wasn't all this
Right.
social. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I mean, we were lugging cameras that and battery packs, and now your cameras are like this. You know, it's but
Mm-hmm.
uh, just fortunate enough to be involved with Realtree and Buckmasters, and part of that perk in the marketing side was getting to go hunt a lot of good places, and I no question about it. You were in some good managed deer places, all fair chase, but it was just the
The
pressure wasn't there.
pristine land. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it takes. I mean, it's like where these turkeys are. It's 116 acres or so, but I got people all around me, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, guys love to hunt, and the one guy that borders this lease I'm on, he shot a 145-inch 8 point this year, and I had that deer on camera, but when I should have been hunting him, I was in Canada, so it was like,
Wow.
and I think he shot him November 4th, and I was up in Canada or somewhere. I don't know where it is that, but
So you
it's just.
still go up there?
Oh yeah, I like that cold weather, and you never know when Sasquatch's going to walk out.
Yes,
So
sir. Well, would it be safe to assume that you've been successful enough to have the Grand Slam on turkeys?
I got a couple. Yeah, my dad,
Yeah, I got a
dad and I
couple.
done it one year, all in the same year together, and that was.
Oh wow.
I think that was one of my best memories. One of the bucket list things that it's a big bucket list. You know,
Yes, sir.
that was at the top.
Highlight of your hunting career. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I mentioned that I've only been turkey hunting now like 3 years. I don't. I'm not. I'm not going to say that I haven't turkey hunted before because my dad didn't turkey hunt. But when I was coming up as a kid, Daddy didn't turkey hunt, and Daddy didn't even bow hunt. I actually got into archery hunting by a really good friend of mine and his stepdad. But I don't remember if they turkey hunted. At least I don't remember talking about it. But I know my dad didn't. So I was in Atlanta up the way up there where you are when I actually kind of got into it. And it wasn't until I moved back here in 2020. I guess I killed my first turkey in 2021. And Jay Maxwell actually called that bird
Hmm.
in for me. And watching him work that turkey call was it's a memory that I will never forget. And I knew right then that that was something that I wanted to learn and wanted to maybe not get good at, but at least be able to get good enough at calling a turkey in and hopefully trying to harvest it. And I want to get into that in just a few minutes. I guess the next question is I know you're an archery hunter because I was fortunate enough to get to tinker with some of your bows. And of course, I know you shoot shotguns for turkeys. What is your favorite way, or have you ever killed a turkey with your bow?
I've killed a few with the bow, but it's that's a different ball game. I mean, you got guys like Jay Maxwell and Tim Knight down there in Dublin
Hmm.
that's all they hunt with. And man, my hat's off to them. Any guy like yourself or those guys that hunt with a bow exclusively for turkeys, it's a challenge. And
No,
I
I'm
just
not
don't.
exclusively a turkey hunter with my bow. I ain't never killed one with my bow. I've killed three of them now, two of which with a 410, which is a new fad, if you will. I killed
Yeah.
the first one with a 12 gauge, but the last two I've killed was with a single shot 410 that I built specifically for turkey hunting. Um, but I do want to try to harvest one with my bow. And we've got some turkeys here at the house. Last year, I was keeping a real close eye on them. It was mid March, and I had them just outside of my garage, 75 yards from my garage door, blowed up out there in the pasture,
Yeah.
just doing that thing, hens off in the bottom. And, well, when turkey season come in, they were gone.
Hmm.
Now I did wind up killing a turkey, but I killed it with my shotgun. But I was hoping that I was going to be able to set a blind up and actually try to kill one here at the house with my bow. But I don't know what happened. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and you may be able to elaborate on this a little bit. The field that's right behind the property here at the house last year was planted in corn, and those birds were here up until they sprayed the corn
Hmm.
and they left. Now they went across the dirt road here at the house, and I would see them most every morning going to work in a cotton field that had not been planted yet. But the field over here on my side that was at that point waist high, maybe with the corn, I was not getting any pictures of turkeys where I
Yeah.
was, and I was not seeing them in the pasture like I was. They were across the road. I had a friend of mine here tell me that when they sprayed that corn for the bugs, it killed the bugs, of course, and the turkeys left and went across the road in that field that had not yet been planted because there was all kind of little critters running around that they could eat.
Yep. Well, there's a couple things this time of spring. It's like these turkeys I'm messing with now. I've never killed a turkey on this piece of property. Never. And this is like the first year there's really been. I've had pictures of them just passing through, but they never stayed there. And I don't expect these to stay there. Maybe one because there's like 7 hens now. And hopefully one of those hens will start nesting there. And like those turkeys you were messing with there, a couple things could have happened. One is it got to that time of year where hens wanted to sort of migrate back to where they want to nest, you know, and because breeding season's coming, and they may have migrated back over into that other piece because it's better habitat for nesting, or that old hen may have nested there for the last 3 4 years, and of course
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a buck in rut. He's going to follow that doe, and that
Right.
old gobbler. He's the hens aren't going where he's going. He's going where they're going, and it
Mm-hmm.
don't matter to him as long as there's a tree there he can get up in to fly up at night. He's fine. But things like that, or what you start to realize that can happen, and I think that's what some hunters they get so frustrated because they think they're doing something wrong, and it's just trying to figure out that turkey's habits, just like a deer. The more you know about it, the things you can adjust to. It's like there, instead of sitting up behind your house and sitting there a week and waiting on them turkeys, go somewhere else. Because you can't shoot one that's not there.
That's
And
right.
old Ben Lee gave me some advice years and years. I mean, way, many moons back. He said, son, if you can figure out where he's eating and where he's sleeping, you can kill him. And you think about that. That's pretty simple. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
simple, and it's just common sense. Figure out that critter you're hunting and figure out what they're doing. I mean, and like I say, the more you know about them, it's like watching these turkeys, video on them. I mean, I thought they were going to come in the other day early, like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I sat there till 2:30, 3 o'clock waiting on them, and they finally showed up. But there's two turkeys out of that six turkeys, out six gobblers. There's one that has a short beard. It's kind of busted off, rotted off, He's the man. He's the boss gobbler. There's another one has a double beard that's probably he's probably got 20 inches of beard easy, and those two are going to fight first. Those are the two you can just watch them and tell. And I mean, it's just learning different things like that about turkeys that just it'll make you a better hunter.
So you spend far more time doing your homework than you do actually hunting, at least early, it sounds like.
Well, it that homework helps you when you take off from Missouri and you're hunting public land on a management area that a lot of other people are hunting, and you can figure those turkeys out quicker. You know where they going, what they doing, when to be there, when not to be there. And now with Onax and some of our other tools, I mean, you can figure out a different way in there, a shorter
Mm-hmm.
way or an easier way, or and look on the map and see, okay, they flew down and went that direction. Where are they going? They're going someplace to feed. Now, what are they feeding on? And then you
Right.
sort of just start putting the pieces together, and next thing you know, you got one standing in front of you.
So you're almost treating it as if like you're doing your homework on a big buck.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's like you there at the shop. You've had so much experience at tuning bows. You can look at a bow and tell what's wrong with it most of the time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a lot of times, okay, here's the problem. It's the same way with turkey hunting, deer hunting. I mean, you can, and that's what's learning. A lot of hunters want to go out and call. Well, I have not yet called to these turkeys, and I won't. I will
Mm-hmm.
not call to them, but because that's just education. That's on their
Right.
part, and you don't
Right.
want to do that. I mean, for someone learning, I can't blame, a hunter out there. Hey, I want to try this call. Well, do it, but get out of there because the first thing that happens, you know, they'll be out there calling and you'll be making yelps, clucks, butts, whatever. The next thing you know, there's that gobbler coming, standing, looking at you, and he spooks and flies off. Well, guess what? He ain't coming back there. Nine
Mm-hmm.
chances out of ten, that ball game's over. You know, so
Yes, sir.
it's go
I
ahead.
remember I was, I'm still real early on in learning to use a mouth call. And it's been a couple years ago before our pasture was cut here at the house. So I couldn't see where these birds were and they couldn't see me. My wife and I was getting ready to go to a buddy of ours, his son's baseball game one afternoon. And I walked out of the house and for whatever the reason threw the mouth call in my mouth and made a couple of noises. Don't really know if it sounded like a turkey or not, but I will never forget. I yelp, 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 or whatever, and I heard one just bust off just on the other side of the woods, which are now gone. And I thought I was going to have a heart attack right here in my yard. My
Yeah,
wife's like, "Was that a turkey?" And I'm like, "Yes, that was a turkey. I made a call, and that turkey made a noise back." I felt like I done won the lottery.
yeah. That's the exciting part of it. That's what makes you, uh, man. That was awesome. I want to do it some more. And
Hmm.
and see them fanned
And
out and
that,
coming up there, and so that's
well,
the
it wasn't even, sorry, it wasn't even turkey season at that point, but it was right there on the verge of it. So of course, immediately I hushed. We got in the truck and we left, and I went out the long way so that I could see where these birds were in the field. And as I eased up in the truck, I mean, and I look over in that direction, and this dude's just blowed up there, and I'm like, man, I called to that bird, and he made a noise. A week later or so, turkey season came in, and I went and set up on the edge of those woods early one morning, heard him gobble on the roost. He hit the ground. I made a few turkey noises. I think they were turkey noises. They may have just been noises. Needless to say, that bird run all the way across the field, wound up 20 yards in front of me, and I shot him with my 410. And that was the first
yep.
turkey that I'd ever killed on my own. Um,
And
and
you
I
got to
swear
watch him
you
come
couldn't
clear
have
across the
told
field.
me anything.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
sir.
you got to watch him come clear across the field.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's
He come up to the top of the hill in the field over there, and I made a couple of more sounds. Again, not sure that they were turkey like sounds, but they were sounds nonetheless. And he darted and just kept on coming and doing that little waddle that they do. And he got up in front of me, and I went yep, 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 and he stopped and stuck his head up, and I squeezed the trigger. and dude flopped over, you would not have been able to tell me anything that morning. Right there in that moment, I was Terry Rohm. I
Yeah.
was I was a professional, even though I'm not a professional. But boy, I was jacked, jacked.
That's right there's what got you hooked right there.
Oh yes, sir.
Yep,
Yes,
you
sir. At
were
least by
done.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
In all of your hunting experience and turkey calling experience, do you have a go-to call? Like, what is your favorite type of turkey call?
I'd have to say a mouth call because like mouth call leaves your hands free. So you
Mm-hmm.
can maneuver your shotgun or like with y'all bow hunting, you got that call in your mouth. You're not having a box call or a slate in your hand and put it down and get your bow or you know get a hold of your shotgun. Movement is so critical when you got turkeys tight. I mean,
Oh
if
yeah.
they're tight, man, it's just especially on pressured birds. I mean, they hear something or they just see something. It's done. It's over. They're going the other way. So nah, you're not today, brother. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So mouth call. But I think the biggest or one of the best tips I could give hunters that's learning to call is, especially during hunting season, is use the call that you can use best. Whether it be a box call, a slate, a push button call. I mean, push button calls are real simple. I mean, just simple little box like that,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can do this, you can call a turkey. Oop, I get the right way here. There it is.
There you go. Oh, that's so pretty.
See, and I mean, that thing kills turkeys. I
I can
mean,
imagine. It sounds good.
yeah, and a lot of hunters think, oh, it's a push button, but it kills turkeys. If I have to use that to kill a turkey, that's what I'm using. It don't matter to me. It don't matter to
Right.
me one bit. But yeah, for most hunters, use the call that you can use best at that time. Box calls have probably brought more turkeys to the gun than any other call out there because it's an easy call to learn on because you can actually watch the movement of the box,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
can sort of experiment with it. And it's like with your bow stuff. I mean, you got to shoot that bow a lot to get good at it, and keep shooting and keep shooting. Same way turkey calls. I mean, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get better on a trumpet call right now. Uh,
Okay.
and a trumpet call is kind of a suction call, the old wing
Mm-hmm.
bone calls, if you will. I'll sit here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not, believe me, I got a long ways to go, but my wife just shakes her head sitting down here, and then I know it's time to put it up, So but
Yeah, I
it's
get
just,
in trouble, or at least I have the last couple of years about this time of the year because I'll have some turkey calls come in. We stock a lot of the grind calls and
mm-hmm,
um, Tom Teasers, Tommy Walton's calls,
yep.
and I'll pick up a couple, of each that I like. And I'll be walking around the house, yep, 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 yep. And when a book comes flying at me, I know it's time to quit.
Yeah.
That it's probably time to put it up for a little while.
I think the other thing too, Robbie, for like you were saying, you called to that turkey there behind your house. If you want to try to locate turkeys, you need to learn to use a crow call or an owl call. And
Mm-hmm.
those are locator calls. And the reason being is you're locating turkeys without them knowing another turkey's there. And you can actually, if you're in a hunting scenario, you can locate them with a crow call, and you can get closer. If the terrain's not quite right, hey, I need to get. Terrain has a lot to do with where that turkey wants to come. And I've seen turkeys so stubborn they didn't want to jump across a little branch or a creek that you could step across. They'd stand there and strut up and down, up and down. It's frustrating, and you can't move them. And sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
better off just to let them walk off, reposition, and then try to call them back rather than force the issue and keep calling, keep calling, keep calling. But a crow call or an owl call is a great tool for locating turkeys. I mean, it just the crow call, later morning, a high pitch. I love a high pitch crow call. And again, you got to learn to use that crow call and sound like a crow. you don't want to sound like a sick, dying rabbit out there. You want to sound like a crow, you
You ain't
know?
trying to call coyotes.
No, and I've heard guys, oh, man, that was terrible. But it's getting a good crow call. I mean, it's like a, it's like your, I guess, a bow too. You can only shoot that bow as good as it can shoot. Yeah, does that make sense? I mean,
It
get
does.
a
It
good,
does. Yeah. You're
get a
only as
good.
good as the equipment that you're using.
Exactly, exactly, and a lot of hunters will go on the, the lower price range. Which, if that's what they can afford, that's fine. Learn on that, but graduate up to a more of a better call, a more realistic sounding call, because crow calls are just like turkey calls. There's good ones and there's bad ones, and I should say there's calls that sound better than others, not
There you
good
go.
versus bad, but just
There
more
you go.
realistic sounding calls. I guess would be a more
Mhm.
accurate way to put it. But yeah, that crow call late in the morning, man, that's killed a lot of turkeys for me. So
And you said something just now about, a turkey wouldn't cross a creek or a branch. And I'm gonna touch on something that you talked about a little earlier, and that was, doing your homework. I would assume or imagine that knowing that that branch is there and that turkeys often won't cross creeks, branches, fences, etc. By doing your homework and knowing your terrain, like you said, that would also help you kill more turkeys or put more turkeys on the tailgate by knowing that, hey, I may need to be on the other side of that creek or branch.
yeah, knowing the terrain is definitely a plus for you when trying to set up on a turkey. I've seen turkeys that wouldn't jump across like that little branch you could step across, but then I've turned around and seen them fly off a mountain, coming off a ridge, flying clear over to the ridge I'm on. I've seen them fly across the Tom Bigby River in Alabama. So it's just that turkeys, and I think, you bring up, you just reminded me of something. Each turkey has a different mindset, if you will. They're just like us. They all got their own personalities, their
Hmm.
own habits. They get in a habit during that springtime. They've been with those hens, they've done the same routine basically day after day after day. Well, it's that's the kind of routine you're trying to break up, and trying to figure out what that routine is, and how do I get around it? Is he going to that same power line every day with those three hens? So I might as well just get out there and set rather than try to chase him. So now you're
Hmm.
figuring out what might take you a week to figure out. Now, because you've done your homework, you know the terrain, you know where he's going. Now you're cutting that time frame down to a day or two, instead of a week. 'Cause I did it
All about
myself.
doing
I've
your homework.
I've hunted turkeys for weeks. I mean, same turkey for a week or longer, and just trying to figure out. They got a bunch of hens. When they got a bunch of hens, they are. I've watched turkeys strut and strut for half a day and not gobble because they're standing right beside hens. It's just figuring out that turkey's mindset, and going from there.
All right. And my last question, your favorite state to hunt turkeys in?
Anywhere they're gobbling, brother. First state, first state that opens up. It's like South Florida, man. That's here the 1st of March. I mean, that's coming up. Uh, some of the. I think overall the easterns are by far my favorite species to hunt, and because you're in most of the time, Kentucky's nice, Tennessee's great, uh, Ohio, because you're in big timber a lot, or there's fields, a lot of field birds that you can actually see. And I mean, you got different terrains, and then you adjust to that terrain. I mean, the older you get, when you start looking at a mountain going like that, no, I'm going
Yeah.
to figure out how to
Yeah.
get up there first before I go after, figure out the easy way around rather than take a half day to get up there. But it's
Yeah.
it's it's
I,
it's
I,
just
I can see where that would definitely play a role. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got to
no,
get him to come down
well,
because I'm not going up there.
yeah. But I mean, as far as I like to hunt, where of course, the more turkeys you have, the better success ratio you're going to have. You know, it's
Yeah,
just like hunting
yeah,
Pope and young deer. If you only got one deer in your county, what's your chances of killing that deer? You
right,
know,
right.
whereas if you got multiple gobbling turkeys, you got a lot better chance than hunting one bird. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but that's up to the hunter too. Again, that's what's so nice about it. Do what you want to do. I mean, you see all this social media stuff. Oh, this 410, don't do this. This 20 gauge, don't. This call ain't this. Man, forget that stuff. Just separate. Try to learn the knowledge and do what works best for you, especially in your area. It's like if I
Mm-hmm.
was coming down there to hunt with you, man, Robbie, I'm going to listen to you because you know the dirt. You know, if you say go there, that's where I'm going because then I don't have to spend 2 days learning that dirt. You know, it's like
No, you ain't gonna ask me because I'm gonna tell you I don't know, and I want to watch you so that I can go to school and actually learn something from somebody that's got far more years of experience than I do. But I do understand what you're saying.
yeah. I
Um,
mean,
but no, I'm gonna act
location.
like I don't know anything and let you teach me everything that you know. Well, you ain't gonna teach me everything you know because that would take a lot longer than we would have.
It's a lot simpler than than it really appears. I mean, it just is. It's common sense, learning everything you can learn about that species you're hunting, and just
So
go
it'd
from
be
there.
fair to say that we often overthink this.
I think sometimes, I think sometimes we do. I mean, especially growing up, because it's sort of like with me hunting Pennsylvania. I bow hunted hard, and man, that's back when about the only really good content you had was like North American whitetail. You know, but I'd be
Mm-hmm.
leafing through that book, and boy, there's a 140. Where'd that deer come from? Or there's a 160. That's a monster. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to shoot a Pope and Young deer in Pennsylvania, hunting my butt off. But it took me years to understand they're not there at that time. They weren't there. Every deer from, yeah, you take a million gun hunters, and the first day of deer season, it was over. I mean, there was nothing left but year and a half old bucks, if there was any left. So it took years and years of learning. Okay, they're not here. I need to go somewhere. So Dad and I ended up going to Ohio, and we both killed Pope and Young bucks the first year we went because they had them. We didn't have them. So it's just like turkeys. The more you have, go where there's turkeys. If they're not there, move on. You know. So
And I had in my show notes here, I was going to ask you, for a couple of tips on locating birds for a rookie hunter. I guess ultimately you just gave us the most important tip that you could give, and that's go where turkeys live and where they are.
yeah, and a lot of times that's food this time of year, and walking old logging roads, looking mud holes for tracks. Uh, just spotting turkeys in fields. Of course, here where I live, you don't see many turkeys in fields. I mean, for some reason, they just stay in the woods most of the time. But I've never had much luck here seeing turkeys in fields. Now, Kentucky, Ohio, yeah, they're more field birds, certain areas. But, y- you know,
Hmm.
crow calling early in the morning, get up high if you can, get away from traffic, get away from streams, especially after rains because it's too noisy. You want to be able to hear a long ways and then locate and go from there. So it's just
Okay.
again having the dirt to hunt. I mean, it's so
All right. And then the last thing here that I've got on my notes is I want we need a Terry Rohm secret to seal the deal. So you've located the bird, you know where he's at. If you had one tip to help you seal the deal, what would that one tip be?
Oh boy.
Yeah, and the original questions was 3 tips to locate birds and 3 tips to seal the deal. But you've really touched on a lot of things that I was going to ask, so therefore I don't have to. But like I say, I'm a rookie turkey hunter. I've got a bird 500 yards over here. I know he's there pretty much most mornings. If there's one tip that you could give me to help seal the deal, what would that tip be?
Two scenarios. All right. One, a turkey's just gobbling his head off. I mean, everything you do, he's hammering, hammering, hammering. I'm probably going to what I like to do on that, and that's the turkey you're ultimately trying to hunt Elvis. Elvis likes to show off. You know what I mean? He likes to show
Mm-hmm.
off. I'm the guy. I'm this. Come on up here, Elvis. I got something for you. You know. So what I want to do is call every. I want to keep track of Elvis as he's coming in because that way you can move your gun. And like if I want that turkey to come a certain direction, a lot of times they're like an elk. They're going to go to the high ground. So I might want to come up. I might want him to come up this ridge over here. So I'm going to actually turn my calling to that direction. I don't want him coming over here because there's a creek over there. He'll hang up. Okay. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to try to like a ventriloquist throw my calling. So I want him to come that direction. So now I'm going to call every maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and I want to hear him gobble, and I want to pick out a landmark where he gobbled last. It might be a big oak. All right, he was right behind that big oak or in that direction. The next time I call he gobbles, he might be at this stump. He's that direction. Now I know if he's moving. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I know if he's moving because sometimes they're fast, sometimes they're I'm taking Elvis is taking his time, but he's still moving. So now I just want to keep giving him a little bit, not over aggressive, not over calling, and just let him work his way up. And I can follow him the whole way. My gun's ready. He's in shotgun range. Bang. You got Elvis. The other scenario is if a turkey's not gobbling a lot. In other words, I throw some of my best stuff out, and I don't get that instant response. I might get it 2 seconds after I call or 3 seconds. He's probably got hens with him. He's not that fired up. Or he may have been shot before. Another hunter may have shot him and scared him, or who knows. So there, the terrain. That's what getting in tight means. You got to get tight, tight. And it might take you an hour to get there to where, and after a few times doing this, right here's where I need to be. And now I want to call so soft. I don't want to hit him hard. I want to hit him just enough to get him curious. Hey, that was a hen. Where's she at? And curiosity is everything. And now he
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, I need to go look. So now he's going to just mosey over and he sticks his head up over the back. Guess what? He's dead turkey, you know? So there's different scenarios, Robbie, but I'll challenge some hunters out there that I think this gets overlooked so much is they don't realize how good a turkey's ears are, how they can hear. I mean, I've called to them and they come up looking at the bottom of the tree I'm sitting at, you know, and they're just so keen. And so, but I'll challenge, I'm not so much a challenge, but a tip. When you call to a turkey this spring, the first call you make it as soft as you can and see if he responds. Absolute whisper and see if he responds. Now, if he don't, call a little louder. But I think you might be amazed at some of the turkeys that respond. You're going to say in your mind, "There's no way he heard that, no way." But in fact, he did. So, and I
Hmm.
think that's sometimes we overcall too loud, maybe um, too
I've been
aggressive,
guilty
and
of that.
they it pounds their ears. I mean, it just. But just do yourself a favor. First turkey you call to this spring, just make it so soft you don't think he can hear it and see what happens.
Okay. Um, yeah, and I have definitely been guilty of overcalling and calling too loud. Just I guess maybe because of eagerness and being a
Yeah.
rookie, if you will, and wanting that success that we all strive to have. You know, that harvest, trying to make it happen. Um, when in reality, I'm probably doing nothing but hurt myself more than I'm helping myself.
Yeah.
And even
Well,
though I know I'm doing it, I still tend to do it just
yeah,
because I don't
we
know.
can't help we can't help ourselves. I mean, you just want to hear him gobble and hear that. But I think
Hmm.
the other two things that, like when you're running and gunning, they call it running and gunning. You're actually calling, walking, trying to locate turkeys. If you're doing that in timber or anywhere really, before you call, look around and okay, if he gobbles, I can get right there, or actually stand at that tree, because there's been a lot of times, especially in rolling hills, you call or crow call and he gobbles, he's right there. You don't know he's there. He's right there. Boom, you sit down. Well, I don't have
Hmm.
no place to go. You're sitting or you're screwed. You might as well just, it's over. Make sure you sit down or have your place picked out. I can sit here, you know. So that's, and never, ever, I learned this one the hard way. I was in Virginia. This is years ago. I'm like, I was a rookie. I mean, I'm calling, boy, one gobble, here he comes. I sit down. I think he's coming this way. And I had a tree like right here, a little sapling. I had the gun this way. Guess where he came? Over here.
On the wrong side.
Wrong side. So I was screwed. And of course, I was a rookie. I tried to do this number, didn't work. I'd have been better off letting him walk off. And I think there's another good tip. There's so many things come up here. If you get a turkey that's not right, he's in shotgun range, but just sit tight. You can't get your gun there. You're going to try to do the old up over the tree. Let the turkey walk off. Just let him walk off, because if you try that, if he sees you and starts running, next thing you know, you could cripple the turkey, or you shoot at him. Now he's educated. Now but if you
Hmm.
let him walk off, he may settle down in a half hour and you can call him
And
right
you can
back
call right back to him.
or go the next day. But leave that, just try not, it's hard not to do, but you're better off if especially if he's out there at, say he hangs up at 40, 50 yards and you're not comfortable shooting that far. If you ever see him take that wing and flip it up on their backs like that, they'll take them wings and flip them up on their back. That
Hmm.
turkey's done. He's gone. Leave him go. Don't try to call him back. He's got his mind made up. I'm out of here. Let him go, because he's not coming back. And then you need to go in the next day or get around him. Or let him settle down for a while.
Now that was a tip that one is something I didn't know. Two, I didn't expect uh, for you to even say that. I mean, that's so. If he puts his wings up on his back, let him go.
Let him go. And he'll be standing. He might be standing there, not strutting, but standing there upright, looking. All right, I don't see a hen. Something's wrong here. But and he'll do this after he gets enough of it. He'll take like the butt of his wing. You can watch him. He'll take it. And he'll just flip it up on his back. Then he'll flip this one up on his back, and then he's walking away. He's done.
It's over, boys.
Yep.
You know the old saying is, if a turkey had a nose like a deer does, we'd
Yep.
probably never kill them, or at least not near as many as we've been fortunate enough to kill.
It'd be tough. It'd be definitely tough. But yep. But I think for
We
for
are.
guys, back on the management side and like for TFT and stuff, get yourself some dog proof traps. You know, start trapping them the coons. You know, you hate to see them go, but man, do you want turkeys or you want coons? So
Right, right.
and it's not just for turkeys. I mean, it's all songbirds and a lot of things that nest on the ground. I mean, and it's going to help your turkey population. And
Okay,
support TFT if man, we got a lot
that's
of
where I
good.
was fixing.
Yeah, go to the website. A lot of good research, just knowledge about turkeys, and you can learn a lot. There's from a biological standpoint, working with some great biologists and figuring things out, and to make sure we got turkeys from here on.
And TFT, if you're just now listening in or you didn't catch it in the beginning, TFT is Turkeys for Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's turkeysfortomorrow.org,
That's it.
if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of good information on there to help you and your property where you're trying to turkey hunt. So that's a good place to obtain some other information. Mr. Terry, how can someone, or is it a possibility to for someone to reach out to you, and if they have any questions, is that something that can be done, or do you kind of shy away from that? I know some guys do because they get bombarded. Is that something that you're open to?
Uh, it all depends how many. I mean, I'm going to be going here pretty
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
I mean,
You're gonna be busy. You're gonna be busy.
it's going to be
So the
wide
best thing they can
open.
do is check out this podcast and watch this podcast, because there's been a lot of information given on this podcast right here to help you as a turkey hunter.
Yeah, I mean, it's programs like this or podcasts. There's so many of them, and YouTube stuff, and that you can learn from versus back
Oh yeah.
when I was going at it, and but there's nothing like firsthand experience. Get out there and do it. That's the best teacher. I mean, until you get out there and do it, and you gotta have to want to do it. You gotta want to spend the time. Just like in your
Hmm.
bow shop with your bow, I'm not you shoot every day. I mean, I don't shoot every day, but I'm not the
Right.
kind of guy you are. So it's like put in the
Well, it's,
time.
like you say, it's one of those things you enjoy, or you do what you enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. So, but as far as learn about that turkey, and like with TFT and stuff, it's I don't think it's sort of like NWTF or TFT. These organizations can't do everything. They can't help every, but I think we can educate small landowners, big landowners, what they can do to help themselves, you know, to better their.
For sure.
It just makes sense. I mean, if you get guys around your hunting lease there to all start trapping, you're going to see an increase more than likely in turkey population. So
How long do you think that takes to take effect? So, I mean, if you start trapping this year, you may not see
you'll
an
see it
increase
this
in the
year.
population this year. You
You'll
really? You think
you'll
so?
see it this, yeah, because right now is the
Just
time,
in
Robbie.
polls?
Right now is the time when you need to start trapping. Make sure you
Okay.
follow and that's why Georgia, uh, you can trap year round now. Make sure you follow
Mm-hmm.
your game regulations, but now is the time to trap, and because hens are going to start nesting here before too long, and when you have a hen that nests, 9 to 14 eggs, if you can get half those to hatch, I mean, my lord, there's turkeys coming up,
Right. That you
for
may not have had if you had not been
ex-
trapping.
exactly. Or, I mean, if you got 5 or 6 hens nesting in your area and none of them hatch because something some something happened to
Hmm.
the nest, whether it be coons, crows, skunks, whatever, got a mower over them, from cutting hay or whatever. But uh, yeah, nest raiders are
So
bad.
now's the
So
time to start trapping.
now's the time, brother.
Well, we are right at about an hour, and I know you are a busy man and got to prepare uh, for some trips coming up. You did tell me that you're guiding a trip here in southern Florida. Is that the first hunt of the year?
That will be the No, the first time of the year is actually South Florida, helping a guy with some of his clients down there, guiding for them, and hopefully get to hunt a little bit. But then I come back and got a hunt in northern Florida, the northern zone for a TFT raffle uh, that
Okay.
actually ends today. I don't know when this will air, but that raffle.
Hopefully, I'm gonna try to get it up today before I head to the airport to fly to Mississippi.
Well, they need to get on there and buy a ticket, brother. I mean,
Yeah,
for
I don't know if I'll get it up right now. It's 10:30 on January the 29th. Hopefully, I'll be able to get this up and people will hear it between now and before the raffle ends. Uh, but yeah, and hopefully y'all sell some tickets and have a good hunt.
oh, we will. It'll be fun. But yeah, just like I say, TFT, get on that website and just learn about turkeys. A lot of good information there.
Well, I guess that's where we're going to wrap it up. Mr. Terry Rohm is, like I said, a legend. This man knows more about turkey hunting and deer hunting than most of all of us will ever know collectively. Mr. Terry, thank you for coming on and doing the podcast and the video cast with me. This is still very early on in my podcasting career, and I was extremely honored when you said that you would do it. For all of you that are listening, thank you. All of you that are watching on YouTube, thank you. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and the like button, and maybe even share this because there was a lot of good information from Mr. Terry put onto this podcast. And y'all remember, just put God first and to keep chasing. Thank you, Mr. Terry, and best of luck for your hunting season going forward.
Y'all, thank you, Robbie, and y'all be safe out there this spring.
Yes, sir.